All right, welcome everyone. I am going to call the meeting of the Glenn County Board of Assessors to order on this day, April 10th, 2025. It is 4 o'clock. We have a quorum of 4 of 5 members present, and so I am going to go ahead and move forward with the meeting. At this time, we have approval of the minutes of our past meeting dated March 13th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or changes?
No, sir.
Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And raise your hand, I guess is what we're supposed to do. Next on the agenda, we have a local taxpayer that has requested time to address this board, Mr. Larry Wages, who lives in Epworth Acres on St. Simons. I will give you the podium. If you can step up and speak in. So.
Absolutely. Okay, everyone, thank you for having the opportunity to come and speak with y'all. I want to just describe the situation I find myself in and see if there's any way we can discuss it or find out what I may could do. I was here in December the 6th last year to meet in the tax office and pay taxes, and I was trying to get through a process of finding out what all I could be eligible for. As Jeff knows, I spent a great deal of my adult career working out of town, and so I missed out on a lot of things that I could have got some benefit out of. So the lady over in the tax office told me, she said, you should go across the hall to the assessor's office and sit down with them and find out what you need to do to be prepared. You're going to be 65, and we can get you out of the school tax, okay? So I went in and sat down, and we went through several iterations, and I was taking some notes, which I don't have and I can't find, and I'm not going to be throwing any stones or saying anything other than the fact that I left that office that afternoon feeling that I was going to need to bring several years of tax returns back, and I was absolutely told that that information would have to be reviewed and then approved. Okay, whether I made too much money or didn't make too much money. Like it was a sliding scale, and if I made too much, I was still going to have to pay the school taxes and things. So, unfortunately, my wife had to have some things done surgically on her leg on April the 1st, so we were tending to that, and I was only able to get to my CPA strategic partners on Wednesday. So as soon as we got to the part where Tim was finishing up with me, I said, you know, Tim, I said, I was told I had to have 2 or 3 years of my tax returns to bring back up to the appraisal office in order to get, consideration to get off of paying the school tax. And he said, absolutely not. And he said, I'm printing you a copy right now. And this was about 3:30 in the afternoon. And he printed me a copy of the tax form, and he filled out, and he just said, you need this one page is all you need. And he highlighted everything. He said, you go right immediately up there and request that they take care of this and see if they can help you. So I got up here and we started talking about it, and then it just got a little bit congested and a little bit overwhelming for everybody. So I stepped out and came back and we talked, and I'd like to have the opportunity to present this to you guys and see if there's any consideration in regards to what my condition is right now.
And when was it? You said Wednesday you met with your CPA? Was that yesterday Wednesday
No,
or the week before?
The week before, yeah. So I think that would have been April the 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Wade, do you mind if I clarify just a few things with the board that we had discussed?
Absolutely.
So the gist of it is Mr. Wages came into the office in a timely manner to inquire about the L6 exemption, school tax exemption. Typically, what we would do is we would take the applications and then have them come back with more documentation if they've missed something. Then we would put it in a pending file, and then we would honor the fact that they did come in. Of course, you have to get it in before the assessment notice period, because that gives you the recourse if the Board of Assessors denies an exemption based on any type of merit. So in this case, I just wanted the board to understand that he came to the office in a timely manner, but did not file that original application, and he just brought it back. I think it was March or April 2nd or 3rd was the date, but I just wanted to reiterate that he was in our office on a timely manner. So I hope that helps.
And what is the normal, I mean, as far as income verification, are you?
It's Georgia net taxable, and Mr. Wilson's correct. It's just one sheet of paper, your most recent tax return. And so he was waiting on, and I wasn't there for the conversation, but he was waiting on his current taxes to be filed, and what Tim said was correct. So, and he does qualify too. As a side note, he does qualify for the L6 exemption based on his documentation.
Okay. And so what is being requested of this body today? Are you requesting that we?
I'm requesting consideration as to whether we can see that, or after hearing my appeal, take the tax exemption for me for the school taxes off of my upcoming property taxes.
Well, which would be granting the L6 exemption.
That's correct.
So, does anybody else have any questions regarding this?
Are we always required to vote on these?
Well, yeah, ultimately, it's the Board of Assessors' decision, and that's why I guided Mr. Wages to the board so that we could go ahead and not wait till the end of May 8th at our next meeting to go ahead and make a decision, because this is the body that's going to approve or deny his request.
Because to me, I mean, from what I'm hearing, he came in good faith, was basically asked to do something that wasn't necessarily required, but, and, you know, even if this board doesn't approve it, we'll talk about it more in House Bill 92, which was just signed by the governor. There's still a grace period that's being allowed, so I don't have a problem with basically granting the exemption, unless you tell me there's a reason we should.
No, I would be in favor of the
Okay.
board based on the information.
Okay. Anything else? Nothing? All right, well, do I have a motion to grant Mr. Wages the L6 exemption that was requested in early April at this point?
Make a motion to approve his request.
Second.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you
You've
for
got
your
it.
consideration.
Mr. Wages, could you take the documentation to Ms. Lismore in the same spot?
Okay.
And just have her make a copy of that and
Okay.
tell her what, and then I'll take care of it after the meeting.
I certainly will.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming in. So, all right. Next on the agenda, I will turn it over to our chief appraiser for chief appraiser matters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we've got 3 items under Chief Appraiser Matters. The first one is 2025 growth and inflation. And on the left side of your packet and also on the screen, we've got the first item is going to be the 2025 County Real Property Digest. A couple of points here. These are 40% figures, assessed values, and they do not include exempt properties. They also don't include personal property and other aspects of the digest. It's just simply real property. It's a snapshot that allows the levying authorities to kind of plan for the next digest year, so the next fiscal year. Just a couple of notes here. The net change is from 24 to 25. The net is 10.3%. The breakdown on that is approximately it's 8% of inflationary value, and it's 2.3. The balance 2.3% is going to be growth for the county. A couple of points here, as y'all are aware, we are going to have to get rollback rates. Our assessment notice has changed, which we'll talk about in a second. And so what I'll do is I'll provide this information to the county, school board, and the city of Brunswick in 15 days prior to the assessment notices being sent, of which our target date right now is May 23rd. We will have they will have to provide us rollback rates in a timely manner. State just came out with the template for the assessment notices, and just throw in a wrinkle for us. There's 3 different assessment notices and we will not know which assessment notice to utilize. And I've got a copy of all three of them in there. But if all three levying authorities provide us a timely rollback rate, we will use assessment notice A. If one or two of the levying authorities do not provide us that information, we'll use assessment notice B. And if none of the levying authorities provide us information, we'll go back to assessment notice C. That is similar to last year, which will have an estimated tax. As you know, the legislation has tried to get rid of the estimated taxes to get us out of the estimated tax business. So I have all ideas that for Glenn County, it's all going to be timely rollback. It's a pretty basic formula with the for Glenn County, it would take last year's millage plus the 8% and maybe estimate per the state, estimate a little bit high, 5% to stay out of harm's way, because as you know, if you estimate low, when tax bills come due and they're sent, there's a provision in there that says which levying authority has undershot the rollback rate. So the state is trying to avoid that at all costs. So slide 2, we'll just briefly go through the this is the school growth and inflation, and these are as of today. Still got a little bit more work left in the school. You'll see it's 11.09. It's essentially the same. It's 8% inflation. The balance is 3.09% is the growth aspect. And on this particular one, we still have just a few more L6s to enter on top of Mr. Wages. We've got a handful of those that won't affect it much, since the digest is pretty, it's about a $27 billion digest, but it won't affect it much. But we want to be as accurate as possible, especially if we're providing these to the authorities trying to get a rollback rate as accurate as possible. So, and lastly is the city. And the city has enjoyed some growth in the last 4 to 5 digests, definitely an upward trajectory, and they're at 10.24%. So everything, it's still booming. The market is still, there's some little bit of stabilization, but it's still a lot of strength out there in the market and a lot of growth. So any questions as far as item 1, growth and inflation?
So they're actually at 10.31% in the city, but the county portion is 10.24.
Correct.
The city.
Yeah,
Okay,
correct, yeah. So item number 2 is 2025 assessment notice preparation. Got a little bit of challenge this year. Obviously, House Bill 581 has brought forward some challenges that we have talked about recently. Governor Kemp just signed into law House Bill 92 on April 1st. A couple of things on that. They did clean up the homestead. It was unlimited, uncapped under House Bill 581. House Bill 92 cleaned it up. That said 5 acres or less, so it's no longer unlimited. It kind of emulates the current homestead from the state. So that was a good thing. And I did mention the fact that we will not know which assessment notice to utilize until 15 days out. So the challenge for us is going to be, we've got a vendor who is working with the Department of Revenue trying to get all of our information intact, so that it's going to be a small window where we have a chance to verify and make sure that everything's accurate as possible. But we're in good shape on that, kind of ahead of the curve. And then also another wrinkle is and I spoke to Mr. Wages about this, during the 45-day appeal window, this is based off of House Bill 92, hot off the press. If an individual has missed his or her homestead, they can come back during that 45-day window, similar to a CUVA application, and they can apply for homestead during that 45-day window. So that's going to help anyone who, things come up, life happens, and if they are meant to get it, they'll have an opportunity to get it. Now, we're talking about ways to kind of get out ahead of it, let the community know. Generally, people that come in late, it generally runs 25 to 30 a year that we have to say, hey, look, you've missed the deadline. You know, you can go ahead and put your application in as we previously discussed, but it's not going to go into effect until the 26th digest. This year, we'll be able to take care of those that have should have gotten it for 25, except for the fact that they were a day or two late, or whatever the case may be. So, good news on that. I think that was a good provision. Happy for that. Let's see here. And I also wanted to get, and this is included in your packet too. This is just a lets you know that we had 1,505 sales. This is calendar year 24, and we're at the very tail end of our revaluation, inflationary portion of the digest. And as you can see on up here and in your packet, it's 1,505 total sales, and we've got the mandated statistical criteria from the Department of Revenue. We've got a median ratio of 0.92%. And we've got a coefficient of dispersion, a median coefficient of dispersion is 0.07 or 7 is what they would call it, which would have to typically between residential 15 and non-residential would be 20 because of the variance aspect. So we're well within that. And also the price-related differential, which is assessment bias, near perfect 1.01%. So or 1.01, so everything from that aspect looks good, and we'll start next week with edits, cleanup. We'll run through that at our next board meeting. We'll have the assessment notice data file, and we'll ask for approval at that point. And then the flash drive will go to the printer on the 9th. We'll hand deliver the flash drive on the 9th. And then from that point, they will send us samples of the correct assessment notice. When we find out which one we're going to use, they'll send us, this year they typically do 80 samples of all the scenarios. This year we'll ask for 120 just to make sure with all the legislative changes. And not to mention the fact that we've also got to keep up with House Bill 581, the homestead, the other homestead that all three levying authorities have opted into. So those will be worked on next week as well. And like I say, that it will affect the city of Brunswick. We'll get some benefit. Any outside the city of Brunswick, if any, very little benefit on House Bill 581 homestead, which is state approved, but local homestead actually. So, and I think if try to answer any questions that the board may have on that. I think we're in good shape, and I think everybody's folks behind me have stepped up and done a heck of a job. So appreciate that. So
just so we're clear on the homestead application process, if they come in 2 days late, they would generally have been denied.
correct.
Moving forward, they can still apply during that 45-day appeal process,
Yes.
and there's nothing that says we should not grant during that time, or they should not be granted a homestead during that time?
No, not before. It's just only during that 45-day window.
Right.
Similar to the
That's what I'm saying. If
yeah.
they come in during that 45-day window, so it's basically a grace period of 45 days
Correct.
almost. And
Similar to the CUVA,
Okay.
where you can file an appeal. On a CUVA, you have to file the appeal, and then you can get be granted a
Right.
CUVA application.
And will that be the case with
Here,
the-
no, it's just during the 45-day window, which
Okay.
is, I can't, for the life of me, I can't see the reason is why they did one or the other from the state level, but
Okay.
that's what, it is what it is,
Okay.
so.
And then as far as the sales ratios goes, I mean, we should expect a little bit of a tightening even by the next meeting.
I think those are going to be credible numbers. Those are going to be probably the numbers that's going to be really close to the final version. It's going to be really close. And, those are good numbers, and I think we're in good shape from that aspect for as far as the audits and things of that nature. So,
Before
Yeah.
we move forward, I just want to ask this board to consider, so you have the 3 different assessment notices that could potentially go out to taxpayers. And Ron and I have had several discussions about it, and I think it's going to be a disaster because people are going to get an assessment notice and not have any idea what their taxes or their estimated taxes are according to that. I mean, it's going to be nowhere on the notice. And so I think we have to be proactive in trying to help educate the public, which means, educating some of the people outside of this room to help us do that. So if you, and I'm not saying we need to talk about it today, but if you have any ideas on what the best method for that is, whether it's a mailer, we've talked about newspaper ads, we've talked about, just going to county commission meetings and having the discussion so it'll be seen. But if you have any ideas, let either myself or Ron know, and we'll try to incorporate as many as possible to help, because I just don't think that people are going to realize what they're looking at. Because, if I wasn't on this board, I don't know that I would necessarily know how to read it. So,
Yeah.
In the past, that number in the past has been based on last year's. I mean, it's just brought forward.
right.
So that's an issue too, because
Well, and that was
the
the
call,
problem.
because it was supposed to be lower, it was supposed to be higher, it was, but,
And that's the problem.
Darned
And
if you
I
do.
think the rollback rate does help on some of that. However, if you applied it to the current value of the property, you're still going to get a notice that has a varying number from what the tax bill is going to say. And so I understand why they want to clean it up, but at the same time, I think it probably creates more confusion than less at this particular
Probably.
time. So, and like I said, we don't have to have a discussion today. I think we've got plenty to discuss, but just be aware of that. And if you have any ideas, we'll be more than happy to try to incorporate those. So.
Yeah. Any other questions from the board? All right, with that, I'm going to turn the stage over to Sean Chapman. This is the final leg in our management team duties and responsibilities.
How y'all doing today? Now, you just said they saved the best for last, but I don't know if that's true or not. But my name is Sean Chapman. I'm one of the residential supervisors here in the office. I've actually been doing county appraisals pretty much my whole adult life. I was basically a baby when I started, so except for 7 years, I got out of it, decided to be a loan officer, and somehow it was back in my blood. Decided to come back to doing county appraisals. So here I am today. But my job is pretty much the same as what everyone before me came. I work under Mr. Jamie Lane. There's actually 4 appraisers under me. We're over Sea Island, Jaco Island, St. Simon's Island. We handle over all the condos, townhomes throughout the county. We do all the rural land and the mainland. So, we go from McIntosh to Camden to Brantley to Wayne County, so our area is pretty big. And on top of that, we handle all the commercial properties, industrial properties. I handle all the exempt properties. I do all the CUVAs, and we have taken the lead on our side probably with the homestead exemptions. I can say, I guess, with my years of experience, I kind of do understand homesteads, so that has helped. And also, we do all the TAD commercial here in the city and TAD residential. So, there is a pretty big workload, but it's all worth it. But honestly, I personally like to say, it's not what I do. I mean, it's like who I do it for. I love doing it for the citizens of Glenn County. But I also like to thank, this board just for being in the position I'm in. Without y'all, I couldn't be here. Coming from a small county, when I started in this business 32 years ago, I would get excited if I had 20 new houses built in 1 year. Now it's feel like here, there's 20 new houses being built a day. I mean, it's really, we're super busy. On top of, the way the market has really exploded in the last 4 years, I feel like our staff does a great job. But, looking back, I could say that, this office would not be run as thoroughly, as efficiently as it is without, having great leadership with Ron. I think so many times people don't see the things in the background, the stress of, that he goes through, or, just being behind the scenes, being in charge. So I'm definitely always grateful to him. I mean, he's an amazing boss, super knowledgeable, and honestly, he has a memory like no other. I mean, he can quote laws or court cases, and he's great to go to. And then just he's great with the staff. And one thing I think he does as a leader, I mean, he challenges us, and sometimes I feel like he knows the answer, but he wants to see what answer you're going to give, just to push you instead of just giving you the answer. And I mean, that's a great quality. But so I'm definitely grateful. I mean, he's always approachable, willing to listen, and stands up for his staff. And also it helps having great deputy chiefs like James Lane, Yolanda, and Nikki. I mean, they're all great. And, a lot of one of the things that I love is that they're easy to talk to, and we can literally sit down and have discussions or debates in our office, and they're just they're healthy, and no one ever goes away mad. And I think we always try to come up with the best solutions for the office, for the for the citizens of Glenn County. As you're aware, I mean, with new House bills, laws, there's always room for interpretation, and 99% of the time, if you ask the Department of Revenue, they say, get with your county attorney. The one thing about it, there's 159 counties in the state of Georgia, and there's 159 ways of doing appraisals. I mean, that's basically what they tell you. But I am real grateful. But in closing, I just want to say, that this PAO office is probably one of the better ran property appraisal offices in the state. I mean, when you look at these digest numbers and the total number of parcels and just all the uniqueness of this county. I mean, from Sea Island to Brunswick to Jaco. I mean, there's just so much uniqueness. We wouldn't be able to have the office we have without a great, great board, a great chief, and a great management team, and we definitely have a terrific staff. So I just want to give them a shout out, and I'm just proud of, and just proud to be a part of it. So. Now, I do like to say if anybody has any questions, Ms. Yolanda Ward would say she would be glad to answer them on my behalf. So yeah. So if y'all have any questions, if not, I can sit down here.
Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, and thank all of you guys. I mean, it's really been informative, and we appreciate you guys stepping up. I know public speaking is, I guess, not what everybody likes to do, so we appreciate you stepping up and doing it and sharing with us what you do. And I'm glad somebody understands homestead exemptions, because I thought I did until all the changes have come about in the last year, because I don't seem to understand it as much anymore, but because they keep changing the line. But how do you spell Jekyll? Okay. Well, I mean, I'm not exactly sure where that is, but
I don't know if it has one L or two L's.
okay. All right. Just a little ribbing. So, all right. And thank you again. So, moving on, we have the consent agenda. Everyone should have gotten a copy by email. I did not see anything that I had any questions about or any changes that need to be made. Does anyone? All right, so at this point, I will call for a motion to approve the real and personal property corrections consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda for April 10th.
10, yes.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Is there any old business to be brought before the board? All right. Any chairman, board member items, new business to be brought forward today? My only thing is next year we do not need to have a meeting on Masters Thursday. Because it's also my daughter's birthday today, and so.
Well, I see the Masters gets top billing.
Well, no, it doesn't. I'll tell you, the more important one is always saved for last. So, all right. All right. Hearing none, I'll move on. Does anyone have a need for an executive session? If not, I'll bring us to the best part of our meeting. I'll declare us adjourned.
Ron.